I'm Tom Vasel.
Zee Garcia, what's happening?
And I am Sam Healey. Welcome back, folks.
Now, one thing that happens often when we talk about games is games that we talk about and we're like, we used to love that game, but we don't love it as much anymore.
You gotta go.
We did those earlier. That's called our top 10 turkeys. Now we're doing the opposite of that. The top 10 games that have gotten better over time. Maybe we hated them and now we like them. Maybe we disliked them and now really like them. Or maybe we like them, we thought it was okay. And now we love it.
Right.
So for me in my list, I did mine by how much the change was. How big the change was from just just guessing. I don't have like numbers to back that up.
This one from a 7.9 in the scale to an 8.2
in the scale.
That's a whole other echelon.
Is there going to be a scale? Whoa.
Now for me, several of mine, at least 3 of them, or at least 2 of them actually, it was specifically because of an expansion. Did you find that at all?
I was going to ask that question. Well, no, not an expansion. I was going to ask, because there was a couple where I became ho-hum on the original version, and then
Right.
a 2.0 came out, and it's like, ho-ho-ho.
Right.
No, I think that's legitimate.
Welcome back.
Light some candles. I happen to me, there's only 2 games on my list which were influenced at all by an expansion or expansions, and I did something similar to what you did, which is how big that change was.
Yeah.
There's games I already liked, and they got even better, and there were games that I didn't like. In fact, there's one game that I have talked about quite a bit is against it, and I've played it again, and it's okay.
I hope it's what I think it is.
Yahtzee. Yahtzee.
Actually, Yahtzee could have made my list.
I love
Because
Yahtzee now.
Yahtzee has been growing on me lately.
Well, I mean, with all the dice games that are out now, you practically played Yahtzee every
You
time
do,
you
right?
played them.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see. I bet, I'm going to say right now, there's going to be no crossover. You think
I'm
that's
gonna
possible?
say at least one.
At least one?
I'm gonna say at least
There
one.
might be. I've got some pretty popular games on my list.
Yeah, but okay, well, we'll see. Here we go.
All right.
Number 10.
All right, my number 10 is a game that we just played one of the new versions of just a couple days ago. And it's a game that I started out kind of liking. I think I liked it more because my wife enjoyed it so much. But I was bored with it. But over the years, I played it so much with my wife. I've played it in different versions, and it's grown on me. So it's a small margin for me as my number 10. I kind of liked it, but now I'll actually ask for it every once in a while now.
What is it?
Carcassonne.
Oh!
Carcassonne.
We were just talking about this before the
Yes,
video
we were.
started.
I think my favorite implementation of it is South Seas right now.
Yeah.
We just played Gold Rush a few days ago, and that was good. I enjoyed it. Has little things that I think I need to get some more plays in to get over, but regular Carcassonne I'm still kind of iffy on. But these new implementations are really drawing me back. So it made my number 10, Carcassonne.
Cool.
My number 10, I like better now because I've played other versions of this game, like other things in the genre, and they make you realize how good the original one was, or whatever. It's not original, and that is Royal Turf. Now, Royal Turf is not my favorite horse racing game, but it's gone up because some, the Horse Fever or whatever, I love that, the first time I played it.
That was great.
But Royal Turf, the first time I played it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's okay. You roll some dice, you see which horses move, you're cheering. There's got to be, better ways to do it. And in recent years, there's been one. R&R made a game, Winner's Circle, all these games. And you know what? None of those style. That light horse racing game, I think, does as good of a job as Royal Turf, where you roll the die and pick which horse to move.
So you thought that it could be done better, and you're finding out that maybe it was done pretty well.
It was,
Right.
that I didn't notice the hidden beauty
Gotcha.
type thing.
The hidden beauty.
I don't love
face
Royal
of
Turf
my
per se,
horse.
but I think it's a very solid horse racing game. And these other ones, every time I play them, I'm thinking, yeah, I think I like Royal Turf better. So maybe it'll actually be reprinted at some point. So my number 10, Royal Turf.
All right, very nice. My number 10 is a deduction game, which I am a fan of, that genre, And this is a game when I first played, I thought, ooh, this is not very good. It really just didn't work for me at all. The game's Lady Alice. And I had a couple of strikes against it. One is, and this still holds true, by the way, is that I really don't like the game except with 4 players. I don't like it with 3. I don't like it with 5. It almost needs 4 to really work well. But I've played it some more, and while I still don't love the game, the change, again, it's number 10, has been minor. I'm now okay with the game. I think it's a pretty decent game. In fact, I just recently had a play of it, which had a nice arc to it. It built, and before I used to find that the game devolved. It was obvious quickly. It just didn't work out for me. It was clutchy. But the last few plays of it, I've enjoyed it some more. So my number 10 is Lady Alice.
Cool.
Number 9.
My number 9, Sam will probably not believe that I put this on my list, but when I first played this light war game, I just thought it was kind of okay. I thought it was kind of silly-ish.
Oh my goodness.
It's a cute game.
I know what this is.
Nexus Ops. But Nexus Ops...
Never gonna live that down in mind.
Nexus Ops has really grown on me. It really has. Because you're like, oh, that's cool for a light war game. And then you play other light war games and you're like, wow, Nexus Ops really did a good... It's just kind of like my first one.
Right,
Whereas I play other ones with like, wow. And then Nexus Ops just... It stood the test of time so well. So many of these games, after a while, you're like, oh, same old, same old. Nexus Ops is just straight dagger fight, really fast. And it's over. Well, usually. You've played a few games where it wasn't fast. But I think it's great, a cool little game, and it's gotten better over time for me. So my number 9, Nexus Ops.
Very nice pick. Yeah, I like that one. That was on my short list. All right, my number 9 is the one I was talking about, which is a game I have spoken against as hating. And it's okay. I've played it again. The game is fine. Everybody's right-ish. The game's Lords of Waterdeep.
Wow. You hate it, Lords of Waterdeep?
I really disliked Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah, he's talked about,
Yeah, it was a game that just was very flavorless for me. It was a game that was a lot of queue pushing and worker placement, but without anything new, and the worker placement didn't feel thematic or interesting. I've played it some more.
With the expansion?
Without, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And this is not one of those two that I said the expansions helped. And I found it to be a little bit better. I do like now those, the new spaces are created. I think the first couple times I played, or at least the first time I played, I was like, I didn't catch on to that. But I do like that the spaces grow. There's new places you can send workers. And it's gotten a little bit better. I don't love it. I don't own it. Do not plan on owning it. But you know what? You want to play it? I'll play it.
Oh, he just made an offer. The next convention will be a line of people. Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep is my number 9. 9.
Okay.
All right, my number 9.
One time I'll play it.
My number 9 is a game about cooking, and it's not really a game that's not really a theme that grows on me. When I first saw it, I was like,
Grows on me.
well, no, food grows on you, yeah. But games that have the theme of cooking food, not so much. Anyway,
It's just food raw.
this is a game that
Sizzles.
no, it doesn't sizzle. It has you creating different sushi menus, and at first I wasn't too enamored with it. It was a very pretty game. I never said that, but
What? And the name is
Wasabi. Yeah. So anyway, Wasabi is a game that is a spatial orientation game. Almost
tile laying game.
Yeah, tile laying game, spatial organization. A little
Scrabble with
bit,
pictures.
it has a little bit of Scrabble-ish feel to it because you can build off of what other people have put out there. But you have these different menus, and you're placing different ingredients of your sushi menu thingies out on the board. If you get them in the right place, you get wasabi cubes and all this other kind of stuff. And it was a neat little game, but it just didn't really catch me. Over the years, though, we've played it multiple times. It's one of my wife's favorite games. Again, that might have an element there. But we
seeing a
really
trend here.
enjoy the game now, whereas before I really didn't. And again, it's the compared to Carcassonne, the thing has grown. The The gap has grown a little bit more. I like this a little bit more than Carcassonne. So that's my number 9, Wasabi.
Wasabi!
My number 8 is a little card game which was all the rage recently. And Sam, and I think you two, love this game. The game is Star Realms. And
Wow.
when I first played Star Realms, I liked it. This is one that went from liking to really liking, okay? But I think that big hype hurt it for me. You know, because the game was everywhere.
happens.
Star Realm, have you heard about Star Realm? Shh, I have Star Realm in my pocket. Do you want to play? And it's, you know, and it was like, okay, yeah, right, let's play Star. And then I'm going, well, it's okay, you know? But the more I've played it, the more I've come to appreciate those little intricacies, which are so simple, but do add a lot of nice mechanisms to the game. You know, those the factions which are color coded and the way they work, and being able to quickly and easily invest in a couple of them and start throwing down combos. You know, it works. It's a great filler deck building game, and for that, $15, a little deck of cards, kills 20 minutes like nobody's business. It's a good game.
Yeah.
So Star Realms had to go on my list, and I put it at number 8.
It's a filler that doesn't feel like a filler.
Yeah, it's a big game in a little box, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's
Very
a good
much
way to
so.
put it.
All right, my number 8 is a game that is
Get out
very
of here.
Euro gamey. Get out. It's very. I remember my first time
He
playing.
loves
this
these
game.
long intros.
It was at Origins, back when they had the boardroom way at the end and up that escalator, and they had you like in the corner somewhere.
I know what the game is.
That's where it is, maybe. Anyway, I remember, and I was in the corner of that corner room, and
Shunned upon shunned.
it was, and the game was called Vikings, and I saw the title, and I was like, wow, Viking, yeah, a Viking game. And then we played it.
Nothing to do with Vikings.
It ain't got nothing to do with Vikings. It is. I mean, it's
I believe it is called Carcahorn.
I don't even know what that means.
Horns.
horns.
Vikings didn't actually have horns.
It's got pictures of
Good
Vikings
thing you said
on
that.
it.
We get comments.
Yeah.
It's got pictures of Vikings on it.
It does.
And-
it does.
and you're-
And islands.
And
Chunks of islands.
Viking islands, but that's it. And that was a disappointment for me. But we played it more. After we got back to Korea, we played it more. I think you
Yeah, I got it. I like
got
it.
a copy of it back in Korea, and then you gave your copy to me because the more we played it, the more I liked it.
You did.
And I really started the Rondell. That was the first Rondell game that I ever played, and I thought that was a pretty
Yeah,
cool
that
mechanic.
adjusting price thing.
Right.
It was neat. Yeah.
So that grew on me as well. So I came up with being disappointed to actually enjoying the game on a regular basis. So that's Vikings, my number 8.
My number 8 was a Games Magazine Game of the Year. And when I saw it, I said, that's ridiculous. An abstract game should not win Game of the Year. Okay? And I still think they were wrong. But the more I played this game, which is Devon, the more I enjoyed it. The first time I played Devon,
DVONN.
all capitals too.
Devin?
Okay, anyhow.
I say Devon.
Basically, in this game, you pick up a stack of pieces and move them, and the first time you play it, you're like, oh, that was totally random. Because it feels random. Mm-hmm. You're like picking up stacks and moving them, yeah. And near the end, you're like, okay, now it's getting a little bit more strategic. But really, Devon is strategic from the go. It's from the setup.
Right.
The setup is strategic. And so the more I played it, the more I've realized that it's a very deep game, actually, but still easy to play. I don't know how to explain it. It's deep, but I don't sit there and like...
The one thing I don't like about the game, I have to say, is the setup is part of the game, and I typically don't like games that setup is part of the game, and it kind of has a long, you got to put one chip out, you put one out, I put one out, you put, and then we start playing the game.
But I remember the first time the first couple times I played it, I was like, who cares? Just put everything out.
Right, but yeah, no, it's important. I remember actually the one biggest memory I have of this game is I played with this 15-year-old who was the son of a friend of mine, two games back to back, and he whooped me both times. I'm like, all right, I'm putting this game away. And that's when I knew there's something else here, and I apparently am really bad at that game. or he's a genius.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Anyway, my number 8, Devon.
Number 7.
All right, my number 7 is a game in a tin. It's a game from Stronghold Games called Revolver.
Well,
Revolver is a game which I liked. The first time I played, I actually enjoyed quite a bit. And this is one of those games that, with expansions, has, for me, gotten better and better. The game is very simple, but it has a great thematic overtone to it. You can get into it. You can play cowboy, outlaw, whichever side you are. It's asymmetric. Someone is trying to run out of town, and the other guy is trying to catch him. And you play cards and try to stop him. That's basically it. The expansions, though, and there's, I want to say 5 of them now, little expansions, have added a lot of different things you can do with the game. You can deck build a little bit now, so you can have your side and customize it before you start the game. There's also, in one of the later expansions, and this is one of my favorites, there's a third deck which goes on the side between both players, and some events in the game let you draw from that common deck. And it's full of weird stuff. Like, there's a killer in the woods, lose. And then there's, there's just all sorts of strange stuff in that extra deck. And I love that it works for both sides. Very neat stuff. So, Revolver, a game I play a ton of, and keeps getting better for me, my number 7.
Is it better than Convoy?
Yes.
Wow. All right, I'll have to look into this.
Largely because I can play it more, because Convoy symbols are rough.
All right. My number 7 is a game that I thought was okay the first time I played it, while these two hated it. But with the expansion, it got incredibly better for me, and that's Innovation. I mean, much better. I liked Innovation. With the expansion, I love it. The expansion not only adds some diversity, you never know what cards are going to be in there, so you can't game the system, but also had some new mechanisms like Foreshadow, where here's the technology I'm going to get someday. I can see ahead of time that it's coming. Just some really fun things, and I like Innovation. It's very crazy and chaotic. I probably only play it with 2 people, maybe 3, but a great game that's in my collection that the expansion saved it from getting kicked out, really.
Right.
So, Innovation.
okay. My number 7 is a game that just got a reprinting.
That doesn't narrow it down at all.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going to narrow it down. This reprinting was called a deluxe version, and boy,
That narrows it down, Sammy.
boy, did they lie.
We got it now.
Power Grid is the game. Is my number 7. This is a game that I actually did not like very much at all because it was very mathy, and it was. And I just don't enjoy those kinds of games. First of all, I'm not that great at math. I can do consumer math fine, but all of that other stuff, I just don't enjoy those kinds of games that have a high math element to them, and Power Grid was definitely there. As I played it, though, more and more, I actually bought my own copy, which says something.
Right.
And then I also bought a couple of expansion maps, which also says a little bit more. And playing Power Grid Deluxe recently has actually kind of lit a little bit of a fire to maybe I want to reacquire the game, because I actually did get rid of it at one point because when we were moving back from Korea, it was a weight issue type thing. And
I know someone has a deluxe version they're getting rid of.
Deluxe version wasn't ugly, I'd take it.
You know what we could do, Sam? I'll give you my copy of Power Grid,
Okay.
and I'll take Tom's deluxe.
Okay, that seems fun.
All right.
A 3-way trade? Ooh.
We just did our own math trade. Boom!
Bam!
Get it? Math
On a
trade.
mathy game.
We're hilarious.
All right, that's my number 7, Power Grid.
Number 6.
My number 6 is a game that I did not like. I hate it the first time I played it, but I've since learned that it was because of who taught it to me.
This could be its own list, I guess.
Well, there's actually more than one game on my list like that, and
Is it the same?
it's all the same person.
Oh no!
Oh, no, wait. No, the other game that almost made my list was the Tigers and Euphrates for that same reason. But anyway, first time I played Babel. Babel's a 2-player mean style game. Babel. Okay? And it's the kind of game where, you don't give at all.
Sam knows who taught it to you. I don't know.
So you don't you don't give it all to escape, right? In Babel, when you play, like if you're beating the other guy, you can just keep beating and beating and beating.
You could if you could.
Well, especially against someone who's new, who hasn't played before, because they don't really know how to respond.
No.
Like in Babel, one of the things you can do is you can just like kind of hoard cards, but your opponent can play something that like makes you lose half your hand. So you're like losing, you're like, okay, let me recover here. I'll just start hoarding cards and I'll come back. And then like, boom, lose half your cards. And then boom, lose half more of those. And you're like, what? Now you can counter and do all that, but at first I was like, never playing this game again. It was like if you learned to play Street Fighter, one of those fighting games, as a kid, and the guy's like, hey, let's watch this, and you're dead.
Right, yeah.
What just happened?
So, but for some reason I went back to it and played it some other time, and I really enjoy it. It is mean. Be nice to the people the first time you teach it to them. And they did a reprinting of it just a few years ago.
Which is a very nice reprint, very pretty.
But it's an excellent game, but it's mean as all get out. But it really increased for me once I got over that who taught it to me thing. So that's Babel.
All right, is that me?
Yeah.
All right. My number 6 is Lord of the Rings Risk. No introduction on this one. But I purchased Lord of the Rings Risk because it was Lord of the Rings. And I was going through a Lord of the Rings craze at one point. And so I was like, this will be cool. So I bought it. And I was like, this isn't cool. So I got rid of it. And then over the summer, this past summer, a coworker of mine invited me over to his house to play Lord of the Rings Risk. And they were just going to play it risk style. They were just going to be playing Risk on the pretty board. And I was like, let's not do that. Let's actually use these rules that are Lord of the Rings rules, where 2 people take the Fellowship, they're the Fellowship team, and the other 2 people are the Mordor team, and you have to guard the ring through this path and get it to Mordor, and the dark forces have to stop you, and if they defeat you where the ring is, game's over, they've won. And that's pretty much what we've been playing. And man, it was a blast.
Yeah.
It was a real blast. I was having a lot of fun. There was tension. We were having to be strategic on protecting the ring. And it was just very thematic. And I was very surprised. So when we decided to make this list, this is one of the ones that really popped to it. And there have been others that were higher on my list, of course. It's just number 6. But Lord of the Rings Risk.
Yeah, that's great. It's one of those games that they take an old game and reskin it.
Yes.
But it works.
Right.
Yeah. There's few, but that one is one of them. Mm-hmm. All right, my number 6 is a story that's very similar to Sam's Viking story. This is also a Viking game, which when I played, didn't feel very Viking-ish to me. This is Fire and Axe. The game is called Fire and Axe.
I haven't said nothing. I'm just sitting here smiling.
I played the game, and you go around rolling a die and trading with everybody, and then you roll a die and take the plastic city off the map, and then you roll a die and drop off a guy. You can do the same thing in every space.
I think he's giving an apt description of the game.
It's pretty much what you do in the game, right? I mean, it did not feel... You can't attack other people. You cannot do that, right?
You're hurting them.
You typically have to trade a bunch in the game because you need to weaken the cities before you go in there and sack them or whatever you do. So I wasn't feeling it. It was okay, but I wasn't feeling it. But the more I've played, going into it now knowing what the game is, I've enjoyed it more and more. You know, I enjoy the cards that you can draw, which let you do, some things. They're not wild effects, but they let you mess a little bit with the other players. I enjoy the race aspect to getting those saga cards, where you're trying to, be the first person to sack these 3 towns. And if you get 2, but then have to go back to port, somebody else can sneak in there, get the last one, get the card, boom, in your face, right? Oh, so there's that. It's almost that racing push your luck game. You got to keep sailing, but your guys are dying, right? I like it. I've rethought the theme of it. I've adjusted what it was in my head, and now I enjoy the game. It's a great game. So my number 6, Fire and Axe.
That is decidedly more of a Viking game than Vikings.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But again, I went into it thinking, oh man, let's kill and plunder, and it doesn't.
I might argue
doesn't have that.
Carcassonne might be more of a Viking game than Vikings. Settlers of Catan.
Yahtzee
With the-
Viking version.
Settlers of Catan with the barbarians. It's
Yeah.
more of a Viking game than Vikings.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 is a game that has programmable movement. And this is not Robo Rally.
Oh,
Yeah, I still don't like that game. It's stupid. People always knocking my robot around.
That happened like 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, whatever happened
Sam's upset
again.
about his little robot.
So I'm not. Shut.
All right, anyway, programmable
My
movement.
number 5 is programmable movement, but it's a game called Asteroids, where you all are piloting a ship inside an arena, and you're having to maneuver around all of these asteroids that are in the arena with you, but you can predict, kind of, how the asteroids are going to move based on what dice they're rolling. And
Right.
that's what I liked about it. You can kind of predict, yeah, you can screw up sometimes, but it's not the same kind of programmable movement where you put in your due diligence and you have your route planned and some Yahoo messes up with their program and then screws you all over. It's not like that. It's hugely dependent upon how well you can interpret and predict how the asteroids are going to move, how well you do, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. I didn't like the game because the programmable movement threw me off. I actually won a copy of Asteroids at Origins one year, I think, and I took it back home and we played it again, and that's when I started liking it a little bit more. So my number 5 is Asteroids.
I would never have guessed that one.
It's better than Robo Rally, I'll give you that.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. All right, my number 5 is a game I played, I want to say at Gen Con a couple years ago. Played it, I enjoyed it, but I was afraid that there were some balance issues with the game. The game is called Lost Legends.
Oh.
And the game is it's a drafting game in which every round you draft some cards, equipment, armor, that sort of thing, magical spells, what have you, and then you spend the second half of the round going to the dungeon and seeing how much you can kill till they knock you out, right? The first time I played, there were rounds where everybody would be knocked out except one guy, and he kept going and going and going and going and hacking and slashing, and you're sitting there for a while until he runs the whole dungeon out. And I'm thinking, okay, there's a problem here. What's going on?
Well, that wasn't us. We were watching.
Yeah, we were watching. But the more I've played the game, I've realized that that's easy to mitigate, and if you're a little bit more careful with what you draft, you go into it knowing, hey, armor is hugely important in this game, grab some armor early on, that evens out. And the game is fun. I do like the game a lot. It's got great artwork. It's got a nice pace to it. It just works for me. It's a fantasy game that I really like. It just had a really bad first impression on me. So, I had to put it on the list. My number 5, Lost Legends.
Okay. My number 5 is a game that, like Zee's mentioned earlier, I kind of went in because it was so popular, right? And I was like, all right. And then I played it, and I didn't think it was that great. I liked it, but it was Seven Wonders. Okay, Seven Wonders I was like, okay, it's drafting, that's fun, and yeah, I like getting the points, but it is what it is, And then the first expansion came out, Leaders, and I was like, okay, Leaders is fine, but as I kept playing it, and not even with the expansions, this isn't just because of the expansions, even just playing the base game now, I'm finding that it really holds up well. I keep playing it going, wow, this is fun. I know what I'm doing now. I'm not letting one guy get all the science.
Yeah. Right.
I'm learning the intricacies of what you should take and things.
I'm an evil on the inside.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's really just grown on me. And to the point where it might even break my top 100 this year. I mean, from where it was like in the 700-800,
Right.
I liked it, but now I'm really enjoying it.
700, 800.
Well, out of like thousands and thousands, but still.
You really like the Babel expansion also, right? That's
And it is, and that has brought it up well, but I think I would have put it on the list even before the Babel expansion.
Sure.
That's cool.
Because the other day we were going to play, some weeks ago, and we decided we just play the base game, and it was fun.
It's good. It's
So-
quick and works.
So that's Seven Wonders.
Number 4.
My number 4 is a game that I first was introduced with as I watched Tom playing it. Tom was giddy poopernickels over this game. Let me tell you. I don't even know what that means.
No one does.
I mean, it is like, he was like frothing about liking this game so much. He was just been introduced to it. It was at Origins. He had just been introduced to it. I don't think it had come out yet. You may have been playing somewhat of a prototype or an early release or something to that effect. But anyway, he was playing it. He loved it. He said this is Dominion with dice. Or something
Oh,
to that
yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
And Quarriors was a game that I had watched, and I was like, this is Dominion with dice. I didn't like Dominion that much. So I was like, that's not a draw for me. So I pretty much just left it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't even give it a second thought, really. Played it some more because he got, everything. And we played it, and the more we played it, the more I liked it. It was a incremental, almost like a baby steps type thing, where I did not give it a second thought. I watched it being played, and I was like, okay, whatever. And now I own it, and it's, that whole dice building, I guess you could say, mechanic has burgeoned into, Dice Masters and all that other type of stuff, and that's an enjoyable game as well. So, Quarriors is my number 4.
All right.
My number 4, when I first played it, was the number 1 ranked game on Board Game Geek, and therefore must have been awesome. And this was when we were first starting to get a pile of these games, and that was Puerto Rico. I got it because it was the best. And I played it, and I said, oh, this is the best? What's
downhill? We've peaked.
So... No, but I had played some other games that were lower, and I was like, the whole rating system was like just shot for me.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's it's still shot, but
It's more of a guideline than Drew.
But I like Board Game Puerto Rico. I kept playing it, on and off as time. I read articles about how great it was, and every time I read the article, I was like, they don't know what they're talking about. It's okay. It's not that good. But the more I played it, I really am enjoying it. The expansion helped a little bit, but I found that when I played it, as I got better at it, I enjoyed it more too. Which is kind of a weird thing, but it happens occasionally. Because I got better at playing it. I mean, nowadays, I'm not saying I'm a great Puerto Rico player, but I think I could hold my own. I would make at least pretty good decisions when playing it. And that's helped my enjoyment. I can see what's going to happen. I think, okay, Sam's going to do this, and Jason's going to do that. What can I do? And it's very entertaining for me now. So Puerto Rico has really gone up.
Cool. All right, my number 4 is a game which, when I first played, I thought it was okay, but I remember distinctly, in fact, not putting it it not making the top 10 list of the year because I thought, oh, this is pretty good, but it doesn't quite have that oomph. I like the game, but there's something missing here. The game is Freedom: The Underground Railroad, which is a co-op game in which you are freeing slaves and trying to help them get to Canada. And I think part of the reason why the game didn't quite click with me at first and has grown on me is because the game, for a co-op game, has pretty unique mechanisms. It's different.
That's true.
It's a weird game. You feel like you're not doing enough ever in that game.
Yeah.
There's this whole track of cards on the side, and you take an action, but it gives you $2, but you got to turn that around. It just didn't feel like any other co-op game I'd ever played. There's the Pandemic type, and then there is the Lord of the Rings. There's a couple of things that co-ops tend to fall into, and
Right.
this doesn't. It just does not fit any of those molds. That's why at first I was thinking, but it's grown on me. The more I played it, the more I've enjoyed it. That historical theme is excellent. The production quality is excellent. And the game is tense and good. So, had to be on my list. Freedom: The Underground Railroad is my number 4.
What did you think was missing? You said you felt like something was missing from the game.
Enough to do. It felt clutchy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I felt like I can't do enough in this game. What are my options? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you flip in a token, you get $2.
Yeah.
And then you get 3 more, and then you still can't buy a card.
I think that's part of the theme of the game.
It is, right. It
their
chokes
hands
you up,
were
right?
really tight,
yeah. It's interesting. But again, at first I felt choked up about it.
Number 3.
My number 3 is a game I actually did not like when I first played, and now I like it enough that it's in my collection. I have the revised edition, but I liked it even pretty much before that, and that's St. Petersburg.
No.
St. Petersburg was a game when I first played it. I was like, just you're buying cards, putting them in front of you, blah, 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 doing the same thing over.
Game now.
That's before that happened.
Why?
No, what really got me on it is I believe St. Petersburg was best played in its original form as 2-player. Mm-hmm. And the more I played with 2-player, I was like, wow, this is really fast, it's fun, back and forth. Now they've added some stuff in the new version, specifically a market thing that makes it better with a bigger group of players because you're fighting for control stuff. And I like that more. But I think that made it go up to where a number 3 on my list. I think it would hit my list at a lower number regardless of whether the new edition had come out or not.
Right.
St. Petersburg, because I specifically did an article back. I used to do articles where I would like debate somebody in writing, and the very first one we did was St. Petersburg, and I took the negative side. Oh. So I've come a long way around on that one, but enough that it's in my collection. So my number 3, St. Petersburg.
All right, sounds good. My number 3 is a card game which was reprinted from the original version several years ago by Fantasy Flight, and the game is called Condottiere. I believe Fantasy Flight's version actually is called Condottiere 3rd Edition. And that's the first one I played. And I really did not like the game. In fact, I very much disliked the game. I hated it. The game didn't end. It kept going, and it was... You kept fighting over these lands, and the game continues fighting over a territory until everybody but one person backs off. But it wasn't happening. It was drudgery. It was awful. Sometime after that, I acquired very cheaply, which was thumbs up for me, a version that came before that version, which I believe it's called second. I'm not sure if it's first or second. It's different, and it's got different artwork, different blah blah blah, but it has different rules, which I did not realize, and those rules make the game considerably better for me. The game now forces you to pass more often, forces you when you continue in to make hard choices. You might really want to save that card for the next fight. So if you're going in, you better be able to stay in. And it just works beautifully, way better than before. Again, that's up to you if you want to get the new one and try to play with the old rules, or maybe you'll like the new one. But for me, Condottiere, and I guess I should say second edition, is a game that really jumped up from having played the third to now playing and owning and really loving the second edition. That is my number 3.
I'm going to have to look into that, because I have the Fantasy Flight version.
I think you've actually played with me.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
But we used the old version.
We did.
Okay, my number 3 is a game that started off as a 2-player game, and it reminded me a lot of, not really chess, but it captured the same feel as chess did. It didn't have the same kind of movement or anything like that. It's just 2 people maneuvering their armies on the board to cause the most damage, basically. And that is Neuroshima Hex. Did not like this game at first because I routinely and consistently got my rear end handed to me every single time I played this game. And then they came out with a iOS version of it. And I started playing that, and the AI routinely handed my rear end.
Good. I thought I was the only one there.
And so I was like, this game is just so
You beat the computer a lot?
But
Show off.
I kept playing it because it was rather addictive. The iOS version. It was addictive.
Preach it.
So I kept playing it. I started getting better, and then I started beating the AI. And so I was like, okay, maybe. So this is one of those games where I think it grew on me the better I got at it. I think you were talking about that a little bit later. About what, Puerto Rico? You were saying that it kind of grew on you because you were getting better at it and you enjoyed it a little bit more. That's kind of how I am with Neuroshima Hex.
I think there's some validity to that. If you get better at a game, you
will enjoy it more.
Right.
Probably.
It's a valid, logical point. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of where it is. I used to, first couple of times I played Neuroshima Hex, I was like, man, if I never play this game again, I'll be fine. I'll be good. And then I saw I think they were running a special one time where the iOS version was free. And then you could add on...
You stupid free apps.
They got you.
You can buy things.
Yeah, you can buy the extra
later on.
armies, right? And every now and then they put them on sale.
So that's what kind of drew me back into the Neuroshima Hex yard. So my number 3 is Neuroshima Hex.
I'd love to hear some love for Neuroshima Hex that's not from me on this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
I'm happy about that.
It's a really cool game. I like how all the different units feel different, and they do different things, and they have different abilities, and it's really cool. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Cool.
Number 2.
Still no crossovers.
Oh, you're right. Still no crossovers. All right, my number 2 is a game which is very highly regarded, at least by whoever votes on the Spieljahres in Germany. This game is Camel Up. And the game, of course, was seemed to be very good from having received a very prestigious award, being spoken of highly. Finally came to the U.S., sat down, played it, and I hated it. The game was perfectly random. It was completely random, it seemed.
Yes.
However, at that point, I had already purchased a copy, so I thought, well, I'm going to go play some more, and hopefully this gets a little bit better. And so I did. I took it back home and played with family, played with my nephew, played with my mother. I played, friends. And the game did get better. It got, again, it's that mental adjustment thing where you go into something with really high expectations, and then when you sort of brush that off and go, let me just enjoy this for what it is. Stop worrying about what it's supposed to be. It's a fun game. It's not strategic. It's short. It's very simple. But you know what? It gives you a ton of cheering moments. It gives you a lot of push your luck moments. It gives you those long shots where you go, this guy's in last place, this camel. I'm going to bet on him. And he might win, right? And everybody's like, no, how did you? You're like, yeah. It's got that stand up and cheer moments, and that makes a good family game. So Camel Up had a really big jump for me, and that's why it had to be my number 2. Thumbs up on that one. Sam still hates it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I'm telling you, I didn't think your family would like it.
I'm pretty sure they probably would, but that doesn't mean it's a good game.
Your opinions are not valid here, children.
No, I'm just saying. I think. And I've only played it once, so you can give it that. I'll give it more time. But my initial reaction is, that's just a random luck fest. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bet on this camel, kind of like how this guy did the last game. He bet on like the first hand. No chance he could have known any way that this camel was going to win.
Oh, of course not. I just guessed.
Yeah, it was just a guess. And it turns out, that he got, I don't know, a whole bunch of points. But anyway, we had people telling, oh, well, that one's done. No way that camel's going to do anything. And they had already figured it all out. And I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. But yeah, it does have the cheery moments where you're like, whoa, I can't believe, that kind
It works
of stuff.
well with people that aren't like snooty about games, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I first played, I played with gamers who were serious gaming folk. And we said that and went, well, this game is clearly broken. Yeah, Jason was one of those people. But you know what? I play with my nephew, and he doesn't know anything about that. And he just enjoys the camel and how one, jumps ahead, and then, he has to go back. He has to go under these camels.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So
it's fun.
Is it Camel Up or is it Camel Cup?
Oh, boy. You don't even want to start with me on that one.
No, I think I do.
I think it should be Camel Cup.
Yes.
The cover looks like Camel Cup.
It's
the
a race.
name Camel Cup makes sense.
It's a race.
But every documentation I've ever seen says Camel Up.
All typos.
I call it camel, and then I put the C in parentheses. Cup, so I'm covered. All right, Sam, what's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is a game that I used to loathe. And I mean loathe, because it is so mean. You just kick people out of boats just because you don't like the way they look at.
I almost put this on my list.
And it's a game called Lifeboats. There's no rhyme to why people kick you out of a boat.
Oh, we don't like you.
Exactly. That's it. It's a mean game. I hated it. Didn't like playing it at all. But then we kept playing it because we had to. Because he kept bringing it to the game nights and people kept picking it. So I was like,
push Sam's little robot.
Fine. You know what about you. So we kept playing. And again, kind of like what Zee was saying, you start just appreciating the game for what it is and not what you want it to be.
That's right. That's a good way to put it.
That's pretty much, I guess, where I could lump this into. I hated this game, and I did not like playing it. But I played it because that's what everybody else was wanting to play. And I did try to do the best I can, but again, people just kept kicking me out of the boats for no reason at all. Because I was being nice. That can't be the reason they kicked me out of the boat. But anyway, I actually enjoy lifeboats now. I used to hate it. But now I enjoy it because, like Zee was saying, I'm just enjoy the game for what it is, and I don't try to invest too much of my emotions into it.
It's like Camel Cup.
Yes.
It's a game that you don't pull out for every occasion.
Right.
But now that you know what the game is, you know when it can come out.
Yeah, and you can explain to people at the very onset.
Right, I think that we're on the same page with those two games.
It's on the onset. This is not anything spectacular, but it is going to be fun, and we can have just don't take it seriously.
All right. Well, don't hate me for my number 2 because I hated it when I first played it, but I have since come to like it so much it's in my top 100, and that is Vegas Showdown.
Ooh.
The first time I played it, I was like, oh, cool, some kind of auction game, and I concentrated on building my casino, and I had like 1/4 of the casino done, and the game ended, and they were talking about diamonds, and I lost by a mile, and I said, this is so random, and the components are cheap.
Forgot to line up the corners, man.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the more I played it, that auction has become one of my favorite styles of auctions. Yet the components are still cheap, but I like the whole theming of it. I like working around. I'm not a huge fan of auctions, but in this game they work really well. Trying to keep your money flow. It's a solid game, and I've just come around on it. So Vegas Showdown.
Good one.
And finally, number 1.
We go for number 1s. Come on, I need a 6 for once.
Let's go lowest.
Come on, Camel Cup.
4.
5, baby.
3.
All right, who's first?
Let's work our way down this way, I guess. I'll be
Oh, you go fast.
You do.
3, 4, 5. Is that why you did it?
Why not? Math is fun.
Okay, math is.
No. Anyhow.
All right, my number 1. I believe this is our first crossover.
Whoa, crossover!
I believe this is our first crossover.
Who's it with, me or you?
And this game, people would
We
talk
won't
about.
find out for like 2 minutes. That's the thing.
That's true. People would talk about this game, and I would want to do something to them.
Oh, I know what the game is now.
Painful.
Hooray!
Painful.
Is it because they called the game innovative?
Yes. Because they called the game innovative,
it's not
and I had been playing a game that used the same mechanic for about a year and a half before this game came out, and I wanted to throttle people for calling it innovative. I didn't. I restrained myself.
That's nice of you.
Yes. But that is Seven Wonders. My number 1 game that I
game's really
enjoy
innovative, I think.
more now than I ever did in the past. What did you say?
Nothing, sir.
I have a lot of objectives. I have objects I can turn into projectiles. Anyway, Seven Wonders, I have seen the light. It is not innovative, but it is a very good game, and it is a very enjoyable game, and it is a game that a lot of people enjoy right out of the gate, because I teach it to people that are new to games, and they enjoy it. They struggle with it at the beginning, understanding how all the cards work together and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the game, they usually say, "Let's play again," and that's, to me, that's a cool moniker of a game for somebody to stop for having finished a game and then say, I didn't enjoy everything, but I want to play it again so that I enjoy it more. I didn't, not enjoy, but I didn't understand everything the first time, but let's play it again because now I do understand and I'm going to enjoy it more. And so I think that's really cool. And that's where I am with it. I really enjoy the game a lot. Babel helped out a lot. I enjoy Babel very much. But Seven Wonders is a game that I will readily play almost any time. Whereas before, not so.
All right.
All right, my number 1 is a game that when I first played it, I know I played it with you. I'm not sure if I played it with you, but everyone was pretty much unanimous on how the game was okay, and the artwork was horribly, looked like it had been drawn by a 6-year-old who was demonically possessed. And that is Ascension.
Oh.
Okay? And Ascension was like, after playing Dominion, Ascension was such a change, right? There's a row of cards, and buy whatever's out there. And they're like, well, it's so random and crazy. And this is one that's really been helped by its expansions and by an incredibly good iOS app. One of the first good iOS games. And I must have played Ascension probably 100 times in the last couple of years. Just loving it, just playing in it. And I'm actually probably way more, because on the airplane I'll play game after game after game. And these expansions, they add cool things and different things. And they got a new one coming out with like special abilities and stuff. It's like blowing my mind. But it just kept coming out, and it's still kind of random, but you're trying to make the best tactical moves and set your deck up. I don't know what it is. I really enjoy Ascension now. I don't know that I would say I love Ascension, but I really like it, which is a far cry from my first impressions. Because we looked at it like, wow, who checked okay on this artwork? I don't even hate the artwork that much anymore.
No, the artwork's still awful.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it did get better though.
It looked like they scanned a piece of notebook paper that had been scribbled on during detention after high school one day.
Yes. Apparently, from what I've read on the subject, the artist was not given enough time, so they had to submit subpar artwork. The artwork on the subsequent releases has been better-ish. As in, I can no longer see the lines from the notebook. Right? So they're a little bit better. The colors are a little bit richer, but it's still not my favorite artist. Sorry.
But I really come around on the game, and you, as much as you two like Star Realms, it's certainly a direct inspiration for Star Realms.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. My number 1 is a game which I first played it. I was very excited to play. The game is Cyclades. It is from my favorite designer, Bruno Catala.
This is my number 11.
Really?
Yeah.
And when I first played it, it had a really weird pace to it. The game had a lot of build up, and it was over.
Right.
I'm going, wait, whoa, what happened? Where's the fighting?
Yeah.
I fought 2 dudes, and I rolled 2 dice, right? This is weird. It doesn't feel like armies clashing, control land, kill, Cyclops who just sits there. It's it wasn't bringing it. And I hung on to the game. I'm not even sure why. It wasn't coming out very much. The game was okay, but every time it came out, I was like, let me try this again. I felt that tinge of disappointment still. And then I played with the Titans expansion. And that Titans expansion blew the game wide open. It made that game exactly what I wanted it to be. It made fighting much easier. You could actually engage other players now. It made running out there and getting an early Metropolis worthwhile, as opposed to, hey, look at this massive target on my face. That's what it used to be, right? It just works. I was to the point that I wouldn't have picked up an expansion because the game didn't hold any interest for. I wasn't going to throw any more money at it. But after playing that, I went out and bought it. It saved that game. It's one of the 2 I talked about, how the expansion really made the game. Night and day. That expansion, if you have that feeling and you've played Cyclades, check out Titans expansion because it is amazing. It is one of the best expansions I've played in a long, long time. Cool. So my number 1, Cyclades, yes, with Titans.
So lots of reasons we like these games better than not. This is like a positive, joyful list, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
We like these games better. But to me, it's an interesting thing. It's much rarer than the other way.
Oh,
usually games go down, even if it's just a little. Or I loved them when I first played them, right?
Right. It was a hard list to make for me anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Me too. It was
it's
really
very difficult. I mean, I had not a very expansive short list.
Anyway, let us know in the comments what games have gotten better for you. Maybe a game you hate it and now you like it more, or a game you liked okay, now you love it, and tell us why. I'm just curious about that. Folks, we appreciate you watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. Thank you.
I'm Sam Healey.